One thing about being in North Korea is, guys, like we don't have bad news. In the communist states, the news is all about the victory of our motherland, right? There's never a bad thing happens. So the concept of human trafficking, I did not know. I thought we sell chickens, we sell puppies, but I never knew human beings could sell another. But apparently we can. And that's when they negotiate our price.
Our guest tonight is a woman whose life serves as a testament to the unyielding power of the human spirit. Born in North Korea, she survived a childhood defined by starvation and state-sponsored oppression before making a harrowing escape across the frozen Yalu River in the Gobi Desert at just 13 years old. As the best-selling author of In Order to Live, she became a world-renowned voice for those still trapped behind the world's most closed borders. But her story did not end with her escape. She doesn't just speak about freedom as an abstract concept, she speaks as someone who has paid an extremely high price for it. After fleeing the darkest regime on earth, she arrived in the West only to find that the very values she risked her life for, free speech, individual thought, and objective truth, were increasingly under fire within our own institutions. In her latest work, While Time Remains, she's become a vital voice warning us not to take our liberties for granted. From the breadlines of North Korea to the world's most influential stages, her journey is nothing short of miraculous. She is a survivor, she is a storyteller, and she is a fierce advocate for the principles that sustain a free society. She has seen the face of true tyranny, and she's here tonight to share her story and her warning for the future of the West. Please join me in thanking our guest, Ms. Yeonmi Park.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yeonmi Park. I am 32 years old. I was born in the darkest place in the world, country called North Korea. Now I live in the brightest place on earth, Manhattan, New York. Thank you. What a difference, what a contrast. I don't know if you have been paying attention to news. Recently, New York elected new mayor. His name is Mamdani, and he's very open communist mayor. And I heard this, more than almost 80% of people under 35 voted for this man. And that really reminded me of what happened in North Korea and my story. A lot of people don't know how North Korea came to exist. More than almost 80 years ago, there was a man named Kim Il-sung. Just like Mamdani, he was a young, charming, with a beautiful smile. And he came to my grandmother and grandfather, and he told us a beautiful story. He said, it's so sad. There are children who can't pay for the school tuition. They cannot go to school. There are people who are sick, cannot get treated in the hospitals. There are poor people, and it's so not right. There are so many rich people. How about I create a socialist paradise where everybody's equal, everybody's well taken care of? It sounds so amazing, right? And who would not want that? Who would not want this beautiful, just society? So for that sweet, sweet promise, my grandmother, my grandfather, they gave up their private property. They gave up their freedom of speech because government told them there are bad people who are spreading fake news. We have to get rid of free speech so they don't spread bad rumors to destroy, undermine our communist nation. And they also had to get rid of private property because you are not allowed to be richer than your neighbors, right? Government had to take it all and distribute evenly among the people. After all the rights were taken from my people, the North Koreans, instead of this beautiful paradise, North Koreans became living in the most unequal society in the world right now. In North Korea right now, there are 51 different castes. And you might be wondering right now, how on earth would you do that? Unlike America, Koreans are a homogeneous nation. We all look the same, and we all eat kimchi. We don't have different ethnicity or like America. I hope this reminds you of something, because this is what's happening in America. The regime decided to divide people based on who your ancestors were. If you're, like my case, my grandmother's father owned a tiny bit of garden in his yard, so he was marked as a landowner. That means anybody is born in that bloodline, your blood is tainted. Your genetics is oppressive to other people. But who are here? We chose our parents. Nobody chose your ancestors, right? That's why Marxism is so evil in the core. They punish people for something they are not responsible for. And now I have a son who is half white, half Asian, who is so screwed. He needs to be responsible for all the problems in the world, right? A child that never owned a slave, now he needs to answer to his ancestral crime. Just like that, I had a very unlucky. I had a one great-grandfather that I never met. He owned the land. And this caste determines everything. It determines which city you get to live in, how much soy sauce you get to eat, how much grams of corns you get fed, who you get to marry, what you get to study, and when you die even. We even say the big joke is like a top third of the class. We call them tomatoes, because we say when we bite the tomato, it's red inside and red outside. Therefore, this top third class, I know that they're communist, and they are favored by the regime. The middle third are called wavering class. They're apples. They're red outside, but when you bite inside, it's white. You need a government surveillance, because nobody knows if you're a true believer. The bottom third, called the grapes, because you're not even red outside. You're so screwed. You're hostile class. These are the people whose families were capitalists, were intellectuals, who oppose the communist regime. And this third class, their destiny is starved of end of the time. I was born in the middle class in this wavering caste. I had one older sister. I had a loving parents. But I never heard my father was telling me that he loved me. Until he passed away, he never actually told me he loved me, because he died without knowing what love is. In North Korea, it's just not the darkest place and poorest place in the world. North Koreans are actually blocked to know a lot of this concept that we know here, like love. Kim Jong-un banned Mother's Day because he thought if we love our mothers, we are not going to love him as much. The love between family members is denied, or any other love is denied. And even the concept of freedom doesn't exist. We don't have word stress in North Korea. Can you guess why? How can you be stressed if you live in a socialist paradise, right? You're not allowed to. That's why government just got rid of this word stress from our dictionary. The very first thing I learned as a child in North Korea from my own mother was, don't even whisper. She said, my tongue was the most dangerous thing that I have in my body. As a child, if I said one wrong thing that was not approved by the government, it was going to kill up to 3 to 8 generations of my family. I'm a mom. My son is 7 years old, and he says a lot of dumb things. And I really love that, because he gets to be a child. In North Korea, nobody is allowed to be a child. At school, I did go to school like any normal child would, but I learned different things. I actually learned that you guys are all bastards. Even when I had to learn numbers, like in math, the teacher would ask us, there are 4 American bastards. You killed 2 of them. then how many American bastards left to kill? That was my way of learning math. But even in this darkest moment, there was a time I got to see the outside world through the black market. There were some people who were smugglers, brought the things that from China, like DVDs. And I got to watch for the first time that was made outside of North Korea. That was WWE Pro Wrestling. Does anybody watch it here? Yeah. I don't know why this thing made it all the way to North Korea, but it did. When I watched pro wrestling, I did not know it was a show. I literally thought all men in America looked like that. I was so disappointed when I came here until I met Joe Rogan. He looked like the man in the pro wrestling. After this, I got to see one more thing. That is movie Titanic. Have you seen the movie Titanic? Up until that moment, I did not know it was an option for humans to die for something other than the revolution of the party and the dear leader. I couldn't believe somebody made a movie out of such a shameful story. So I literally thought all the people who made the movie got executed, right? So when I got out, the first thing I checked was if DiCaprio was made it. He's alive. And somebody told me, don't worry, he's in LA dating a lot of young models. He's very much alive. I was relieved. But this simple movie really gave me a taste of humanity for the first time. I got to see that people have options outside the world, and that's when I thought, maybe America will not be as bad as what government says. By this time, I was 13 years old. It was 2007. And my day was filled with finding a lot of insects. As you can see me, I'm on like 5-inch high heels, and I'm still 80 pounds. My body never learned how to process nutrition. I can never gain weight. North Koreans, same people as South Koreans, are on average 5-inch shorter than them. The fanciest meal that I got in North Korea was Grasshoppers. Now I live in Manhattan. I have a lot of smart friends who tell me I should not be eating steak because apparently cows fart a lot and it's bad for the climate. And she says, like, I need to eat insects to save the climate. I tell them, like, I did my portion. It's your time to eat some insects, right? It was March of 2007, and it's actually around this time. This is when most of death happens, actually, from starvation. The fall, we have at least a lot of harvest happening, summer, plants. But the spring is actually right now, nothing is growing in the north. That's why spring is known as season of death for the North Korean people. I was 13. I wanted to escape with my sister because luckily, where I lived in Haesan, it was right across the river from China. We had the Yellow River, and across this river, I got to see the electricity lights coming from Chinese side. And that's how I just guessed. Maybe if I go where the lights are, I might be able to find a bowl of rice. I wanted to go with my sister, but I got so sick. I couldn't go. My mother had to take me to the hospital inside. In the hospital, when I got there, the doctors didn't have any machine or anything. He just rubbed my belly, and he said, my appendicitis might have burst. They had to operate on me. So my mother gone to black market, bought some anesthesia. Actually, it was a fake one. When the doctors injected me, it didn't work. So they tied me up and they cut me open while I was awake. I remember my intestines come out of me, and I was screaming, and I was passing out, going back and forth with consciousness. When the doctors opened me up, they realized my appendicitis was perfectly fine. it was just infection and malnutrition. Doctors got still very embarrassed, so they cut my appendix out. So don't worry, when I go back, I'm gonna sue these doctors. If any of you is a lawyer in this room, can help me. After this operation, it's the last few days of my life in North Korea that I still remember like yesterday. I remember in the hospital room after my surgery, I saw a nurse going through every patient with the same needle. The needles have been used so many times. It was so dull. People were not dying from cancer in North Korea. Like, many things kill us before cancer kills us. Just most of people were just sick from infection, just like me. On the way my room to outside, I had to go to bathroom, of course outdoor, and I saw there were piles of dead bodies. And up until this point, guys, like seeing a dead body in North Korea is like looking at a tree. It's such a common thing. But what was unique about it was all those bodies were stacked together. Their eyes were hollowed eye. So I asked my mom, like, why do they not have any eyes? And my mom told me, eyes are the softest tissue in our body. So when we die, actually rats eat our eyes first. A lot of us here, I'm sure, seen movies of starvation, right? At least in the movies, it's so dignified. People just die from starvation. When you witness actual starvation, it's very different than movies. When you die from starvation, people go through different stages. First stage is like what we see in the movies. People are aware that you're hungry. You seek food. But the last of starvation is actually your mind leaves you. You don't recognize who your daughter is. You don't recognize who you are. You start to laugh. And that's always our neighbors say, that person's death is near them. And right before they die, all the holes in our body open up. And after this, I got out of hospital, and I found a little note that my older sister left me. Her name is Yeonmi. She was 16 years old. She escaped without me because she couldn't wait anymore for me to get better. But she left me a note saying, go find this person, and this person is going to come help you to find me in China and help you to cross the river. I found this lady with my mother, and then this lady told me she could help me to cross the river to China. And North Korean border is not like American southern border under Biden. It wasn't like widely open at all. Every few meters, guards with machine guns, they have this order, shoot to kill order. If anybody cross, they don't even bother to arrest you. They shoot you on the spot. So the lady that we found, she found the guards and she bribed them so the guards wouldn't shoot us. And I did not know why these people were helping us. But I learned why they were helping us. As soon as we got to Chinese riverbank in China, the very first thing I did see was my mom being raped. And they told us that we had to be sold as sex slaves in China to survive. One thing about being in North Korea is, guys, like we don't have bad news. In the communist states, the news is all about the victory of our motherland, right? There's never a bad thing happens. So the concept of human trafficking, I did not know. I thought we sell chickens, we sell puppies, but I never knew human beings could sell another. But apparently we can. And that's when they negotiated our price. They determined my mom was $65 worth, and they thought I was worth over $200. I was real amused because I was like half size of my mom at the time. I asked them, like, why am I worth more than my mom? And the men didn't even flinch. They said, there are a lot of men love taking child virginity away. That's why I was way more than her. And it's so heartbreaking right now realizing those monsters exist even in America. These monsters bought us and separated me from my mother, and we got separated. When I bought by another human trafficker, I was ready to kill myself because up until this point, I actually never even seen the map of the world. I thought somehow the world was the continuation of North Korea and China. There was no point of me continuing my life. I was separate from all the loved ones. But the man who bought me made me an offer. He said, if I do become his sex toy, he said, he could help me, my parents, and save my family. I did become his mistress at 13. And thank God this man kept his promise. He brought my mom back from the man he sold to. He bought her back and he gave to me. After 2 years of my slavery, there's no more place to go. There are few places that North Koreans end up in China. Number one place, I'm sure you know, is to organ harvesters. After all, they can buy 20 of us for the price of one iPhone, right? How on earth would you get a fresh kidney in 2 hours in China? Because people like us exist. That's where they buy us. Another place they buy us is brothels. They put us in a room that doesn't even have a window. They usually drug us because pain is too much. They make us raped 100 times until we last like 6 months, and they discard our body by another body. The last place that I heard that we could end up was this place called the chat rooms. If we go work like 18 to 20 hours a day, take off our clothes, and show our bodies through cam to a man, these people was gonna give us shelters to sleep and to eat. And I literally thought that was the best thing ever happened to me. Because by then I was almost 15 years old and nobody was going to abuse me in person. When I joined the chat room with my mother, I learned something very interesting, guys. The men who were supposed to look at my body were South Korean men. And I thought South Koreans were colonized by American bastards. How did they even have money to look at my body? Something wasn't adding up. But the lady that we met in this chat room, she said, there are some people helping North Koreans. She said, do you want to ask for help? And later I learned these were the Christian missionaries from South Korea, risked their lives to come to China and rescuing people like us. I called up this missionary hiding in this chat room, and I asked them, I need help to get out. And she said over the phone, I can help you to go somewhere, to be safe and to be free. And that is the very first time I heard the word free. I asked her, what do you mean I can be free? And she said, sweetie, you can go somewhere. They are gonna allow you to wear jeans, and they're gonna allow you to watch K-dramas. And nobody gonna arrest you for that. And I couldn't believe there is a land where individuals can decide what to wear and what to watch. I couldn't believe it, so I said, I'm gonna risk my life for that. How do I go to this land? They said, the journey is so dangerous because we had to walk across Gobi Desert from China to Mongolia in minus 40 degrees. They couldn't come with us. They could give us a compass. And they said, only God can deliver you guys. Only God can do this. Over the 80 years of North Korea's oppression, only 209 of us made it to America out of 25 million people. And I became one of that person. I survived the Gobi Desert, and God did deliver me to South Korea when I was turning almost 16 years old. When I got to South Korea, I was like landed on a new planet, right? They would take me to go to bank to show me ATM machine. I literally thought somebody was inside the machine giving the money. Yeah. They were telling me about supermarket, internet, coffee shop, and they told me about dry cleaning. And I was like, how do you clean something while it's dry? Right? It makes no sense. I made all these like little new things I was learning every day, learning about the new planet that I was residing. During this time, I also became a learning machine. For the first time, I had access to books. Thank God they didn't have TikTok at that time. I had like 100 books a year I was reading. And during this time, I read books written by Frederick Douglass. Actually, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Oprah Winfrey, like before they all hated America, by the way. I couldn't believe there is a country like America existed. A girl like Oprah, like me, who was so hurt, coming from such an impoverished background, could be a voice for so many women. That really inspired me. I wanted to go to that promised land. I wanted to go this land of opportunity. And that wish came true when I was accepted to study at Columbia University in 2016, now 10 years ago. I mean, like, what a journey from North Korea to Columbia University, right? I came to this country with amazing aspiration. I couldn't believe it. When I got to Columbia University, before even the classes began, we had the orientation week. Do you guys have an orientation week here? I did too. And my professor was telling me, the very first thing I heard was like, that we have to be woke. And I was like, I'm awake, right? I just, prior to coming to America in 2016, in 2015, I learned English by watching TV show Friends. And at Friends, we don't have a concept of like woke, right? So I said, like, I did not know. But my professor was giving me an example how to be woke. Like, who likes to read Jane Austen? As I mentioned, I love literature, I love books. I said, me. My professor said, Jane Austen believed that only white men were capable of higher thinking. By reading her work, you perpetuate systemic racism. That's how you need to be woke to looking for this oppression. And then my professors were saying things like this. The older problem that we have in the world right now is because of greedy capitalism, and it's because of white men. And I was like, are you a psychopath? Like, have you ever been outside of like capitalist countries before? In a non-capitalist countries right now, human beings are sold for $100. And they say they are all oppressed in America because of the evil American Constitution. And then my professors were saying things like, tell me about your pronoun. I mean, as I mentioned, I watched Friends and learned English. I did not know what gender fluid meant. And then they were saying things like this. For us to be more inclusive, we should not use the terms like mother or woman. We should say the words like uterus donor, birthing person, chest feeder. And I was like, even in North Korea wasn't this crazy, guys. Like, even North Korea wasn't this insane. And that's when I learned this. What they are after was not actually denying that woman is not a real thing. If they can convince you to believe that man can be a woman any second they feel like it, they can also convince you to believe that slavery is freedom. That's what they're after. I did graduate after 4 years of Columbia, and even the basic science like math was being denied. My teachers were saying, math is made up by white people to control minority. And I remember that my lesson I learned at Columbia in North Korean classroom. My teacher one day asked me, "What's 1 plus 1?" What's 1 plus 1? Exactly. I said 2 in North Korean classroom. My teacher said, my second year later, Kim Jong-il discovered that if you add 1 drop of water to another drop of water, it doesn't become 2, it becomes bigger one. That is how Kim Jong-il proved that math is made up by white people to oppress minority. And this idiotic thing is being taught and repeated at Columbia University. I am an introvert, actually, believe it or not. I do not love giving speeches, guys. I get so nervous. I used to tell myself, whenever I get so nervous before going on a stage, like, even if you go up there and say something stupid, you're not gonna get shot. Like, just go up there and tell your story. After last October, after seeing Charlie's death, I can no longer say that to myself. Every day I leave my door from my son, I know I can get killed in America by practicing free speech. More than half of this country right now believe it's an acceptable thing to kill somebody if they say something that we do not like. And that's why I'm standing here today. That is not the path we want to go forward with. Because the end of that tunnel is North Korea is waiting for us. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming out to support me. And I look forward to Q&A with you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for that amazing story. And I believe everything you say. I'm an immigrant from Bolivia. And there, in the last 20, 30 years, have been ingrained in this socialist movement. But the reason why I bring this up to you, I want to ask you, how is it that we reconcile entitlement, right, in this country? Because that's what it's all about. Like, people feel entitled. And to your point, people have not left the United States to see. And by the way, I was in Korea, South Korea, as an army officer, and I know exactly what that side of North Korea looks like. But how do you, like, your story's so powerful, but do you think people believe it? Like, do you think, like, how do we tell people that what you have is grand and you're throwing it away, in your opinion? What do you recommend?
My simple solution is like buy them one-way ticket to North Korea. Like, if you hate America out, the door is open, right? We are not keeping anybody in this country. They have freedom to leave, but they don't. They are determined to change this American system and bring the collectivism to here. That is very, very scary thing. But I do think it's not just these young people's fault. I think the education have failed them. When I come to America, I mean, the young people have no idea of the horrors of communism. They don't know how many human lives have gone vanished in the 20th century with this evil ideology. They think somehow there's a good thing about communism to learn. Like, to me, communism is a definition of evil. There's nothing good in that. Yeah. But somehow we did not teach our kids at home about this. We did not teach them at school about this. And no wonder they are brainwashed. So I think if we have more universities like this right now we are in, I think these problems will be solved. Thank you for that.
Hi, thank you so much for giving a speech. It was very, very interesting. This might be a little naive, but I'm kind of curious how you understood South Koreans and the language specifically once you got from North Korea, because I think they would have, drifted or maybe made it harder for you as a North Korean to understand South Koreans intentionally, something like that.
Yeah, South Korea is, over the 80 years of the division, the country has evolved in a different manner. and South Koreans have way more vocabulary than we have. As I mentioned, like they have the word like stress or depression, many things that we don't have. And also our accent is very different. But besides that, now when you look at North Koreans, South Koreans, our even appearance very different because of our height difference. So every year it passes, we are becoming a different people, sadly. Yeah. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Hi. Yeah, this is not. I know your talk wasn't inherently political, but I want to ask you about one thing. Because one of the things that's happening now, like you obviously, came from North Korea and you've come to America, and I assume you love America and you like the opportunity you've had, and a lot of your criticism has been of like the political left. But I was going to ask you about one thing that's happening on the political right in the last few months, which is, what is the idea of America? Is it for people who are only of a certain like native born who've been here for many, many generations, or is it for people like you? Because one of the things that's happening is many of these prominent, right-wing voices are trying to be much more exclusionary to immigrants, even immigrants such as yourself, who have come here and have really bought into the American dream. You still have a lot of politicians that want to, exclude even the best of the immigrants from being part of it. So I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Oh, I don't. You mean what politicians try to exclude immigrants in what way? Systemically?
Yeah, not so much exclude immigrants, but like you have people. It's not just like we want to have a secure border, but now it's like there's many politicians calling for a complete moratorium on all immigration, and that would exclude people like you who could come to this country and benefit this country, but you have a lot of politicians that are calling for a moratorium. So I guess my question to you is, do you see this problem also emerging on the right wing that's kind of almost as bad in terms of excluding people like you?
So to answer two things, I do notice the rise of the extreme right wing. Actually, until recently, when people talk about the badness of the extreme right wing, I did not know what they meant because I've never seen the extreme right wing before, and not actually see open anti certain groups of people. They are the worshipping Hitler in open air, right? Like I never thought they existed, and it seems apparently they are right. They are true genuine Nazis in the right side at the end of it. But besides that, when it comes to immigration, I actually came to America as a South Korean, and I paid a lot of taxes to come here, and I waited in the line in so many different ways. And even me going to South Korea, while I was in Mongolia, I was there for several months to be verified that I was not a criminal, I was not a spy, I was not bringing any harm to South Korean population. Once that was verified, I go to South Korea. They would take me to hospital was the first stop, so I don't bring disease to the local population. Second, they put me in a solitary confinement, make sure that I'm not a spy. I think that's something that we should learn from South Korea. It's not a compassionate thing to you let terrorists walk into your country, right? I want to be a system like that everybody coming to the country are legal way and they are not bringing terrorism to this country. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for your talk. My name's Patrick. I'm assuming in North Korea, it was difficult to learn about religion. What was the first time you ever learned about it, and what were your thoughts?
Wow, so my relationship with the religion is interesting because North Korea, actually, do you guys know that Kim Il-sung was actually born in a Christian family? Yeah. Pyongyang, the North Korea's capital, was known as the Jerusalem of the East. It was the most thriving Christian community in the East. That was Pyongyang. Kim Il-sung had devout Christian family members, aunts, and his mother was a devout Christian. But when he became the Communist Party leader in North Korea, he thought, how about I become God instead? So he copied the Bible. He gave us the 10 Commandments in North Korea. And he said his son, he loved us so much, he gave us his son, Kim Jong-il. His body dies, but his spirit is with us. That's how they know what we think in our head. Do you see the resemblance?
Wow.
Even the worship songs is like almost Christian Bible worship songs. When I was in China, and I said that when I met the Christian missionaries, that's when for the first time they told me about Christianity and told me that I need to believe in Jesus Christ. At the time, if somebody brought a rock and told me, if you believe in rock, we're going to help you, I would have believed in the rock. I wasn't even faking it. I was so desperate to be out of that situation. I became a Christian. I was an unbelievable believer at the time. I proved my faith to these Christian missionaries and got out. But during my interaction with them, it wasn't all pleasant because they told me what I did to survive in China was very dirty. But nobody's perfect. Now I realize, but that really hurt me deeply. That's why in the beginning, when I spoke out about my life, I actually hid about my own trafficking and lied in the beginning because of that experience. After I got rescued, I went to save South Korea. I was like sick of dogma, especially Christianity, because it reminded me of North Korean religion so much. I was like, I'm not gonna believe a thing anymore, right? I became like, I was reading Sam Harris. I was becoming atheist for a long time. And then in 2018, in Chicago, I became a mother. And I held my own son for the first time in Chicago hospital. And that's when it just hit me. There's no way someone like me could create this perfect child like this. Only God can create life. And that's when I met God, and He met me not through logic or words, He just met me through motherhood. So my son is going to a Catholic school in New York. We believe it's the only non-woke school in the city. And that's how I became a believer, and he is also a believer. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I mean, it was a pleasure listening to your story. I've read it online. I've watched other speeches that you've given before, and like seeing you in person, it was a blast. I gotta say. I think everyone else here agrees. One thing I was really curious about, you mentioned, there was no concept of freedom in the perfect socialist state or the perfect socialist. What do you want to call it? Paradise, utopia.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm kind of wondering, people in America often complain a lot, like, oh, there's no hope. Like, what are we going to do? Clearly, there's always something to be hopeful for. And I'm wondering, like, when you were, like, what was your lowest point? And, like, where did you find your hope to keep going? And did you even know what the concept of hope necessarily was at the time?
No, it was no concept for me. Most of my life, dying was the easiest option I had. Because dying just takes maximum like 5 minutes, right? Living was the hardest part. I thought I would choose the hard thing, that was living. But on top of that, I had an incredible father. He was actually sent to prison camp, and he got sick, and he died in China. And we couldn't even have a barrier for him. Like, when he died, I couldn't even shed a tear because people could hear and find out. What he told me right before he died is like, there's always a person gonna fight for one more day. Like, no matter what, life is a gift. It's worth fighting for. And because of him, I never gave up. I kept fighting for life. So I'm very grateful. My biggest regret for him is he never got to see that human beings can live like this with dignity. And he left this world without knowing this. And someday when I meet him in heaven, I hope he got to see everything that I got to do because I kept fighting for life. So, thank you.
We got time for one more question, and it just so happens that there's only one more person when you ask questions.
Awesome.
Hello, thank you for your talk tonight. I'm just wondering, America fought a Cold War against communism for almost half a century, and do you think today we should use military force or action to eradicate communism from the world, and why or why not?
I mean, which means you have to get rid of half of the country. So I don't think that's possible, actually. But I actually am glad to live in a country where socialists thrive. I love that Bernie is rich, AOC is rich, I'm so glad. It's a testament to the tolerance of our system, that it's evidence for me that I am staying on the right side of history, that freedom, capitalism is a right system. Like in North Korea, imagine you being capitalist, you get executed, right? Along with 8 generations of your family. So I don't want people to die because they are communist. I just want us to elect people who are not going to bring communistic regulations and change our system. So yeah, I would not support that. Yeah. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.